It was a gloomy land that seemed to hold all winds and clouds and dreams that shun the sun, with bare boughs rattling in the lonesome winds and the dark woodlands brooding over all, not even lighted by the rare dim sun which made squat shadows out of men. They called it Cimeria, land of darkness and deep night. This is the third stanza in Robert E. Howard's 1932 poem Cimeria, the first work to describe the Hyborian Age, the setting for his sword and sorcery tales starring Conan, the hulking barbarian of brooding countenance, hardened into a lethal warrior by the brutal land of his birth. Conan's heritage plays a crucial role in his characterization, providing the ground-up explanation for his surfeit capabilities, from climbing to combat to his immense strength and knowledge of the wilderness. However, despite its keystone position in the age undreamed of, Conan is the only Cimmerian to appear in Howard's stories of the Hyborian Age, and he never revisits the land of his birth. Howard described Cimeria in remarkably little detail, only providing brief quotes in which Conan describes a brutal, cold climate populated by the tribal Cimmerian people. If you were running a role-playing adventure set in the Hyborian Age, playing Conanexiles, or simply want to know more about Howard's remarkable setting, then let me guide you back through the fogs of time into the cold, dim land of Cimeria. It is a cold, mountainous highland of expansive forests, craggy cliffs, steep gullies, stony plains, and bogs. Very few crops survive the climate, and the animals that survive here are as hardy as the land itself, likely including species such as wolves, bears, panthers, mountain goats, and deer. This dreary land is hemmed in by tall mountains on all sides, giving it a measure of security despite the gloomy conditions. No major rivers run through the Cimmerian wilderness, with the few that navigate the highland being little more than streams of meltwater from the peaks, and even colder northern regions. Just enough to supply the people, sparse animal populations, and the peat bogs with water. Despite the difficulties of life in Cimeria, it is rich in some key natural resources, wood being the most abundant, followed closely by iron found in the bogs and mountains, and the bog peat itself. Wood and iron are important for the production of tools, weapons, and structures, and the peat is used in the production of a strong liquor they call uskia, the Cimmerian word for water. The people of Cimeria have the reputation of being the most gloomy and intense among the other peoples of Hyboria. They are most often described as tall and rangy, with dark hair, light eyes, and dark skin. The first Cimmerians were descendants of the ancient Atlanteans, who escaped their city when it was swallowed by the oceans, and though little is known about the Atlanteans, it is rumored that the strength and tenacity of the Cimmerian people might originate with the peoples of the sunken city. Cimmerians are a dour and gloomy people, who worship an impassive and detached god. Crom is the center of the Cimmerian pantheon, a grim and uninvolved deity whose only interactions with men are to breathe the power to slay into newborns and to condemn the dead to an afterlife of endless gray gloom. This likely drives the constant struggle between lament for the futility of life and an absolute drive for survival that exists within Cimmerians. While Crom acts as the primary touchstone for the Cimmerian people, they do believe in other gods, with Conan himself invoking deities such as Morrigan, Nemain, and Manon Meclir. It is likely from their hands-off religious beliefs that Cimmerians get their distrust of sorcery in all forms, though their homeland is said to have an innate mysticism and many deep caves permeated with magical power. The Cimmerians themselves shun these places as cursed. They view magic as a corrupting influence, something dark, creeping, and ancient, best left undisturbed lest it turns its focus to you. While Conan encounters sorcery and witchcraft in abundance on his many adventures, it is unlikely that the average Cimmerian interacts with it during their lifetime, and even Conan never truly overcomes his distrust of the mystical arts. Due to the distrust of the sorceress and the general pragmatism of the Cimmerians, it is unlikely that there are practitioners of magic operating openly in Cimeria, with most witches, shamans, or sorcerers in the region being driven south to kingdoms where it is more widely practiced. Outside of religion, the lives of Cimmerians are dominated by struggles for survival, whether against nature or their neighbors. Cimmerians are surrounded by enemies, with their ancient enemies the Picts to the west, Hyperboreans to the east, and Aquilonia to the south. The Picts and Cimmerians have been in constant conflict for as long as any records show, with both sides raiding across their shared border in search of resources, riches, or in the case of the Picts, human sacrifices. On their eastern border, the Hyperborean Empire spreads its tendrils in every direction in search of slaves. The Cimmerians fight fiercely to prevent incursions from the Hyperboreans, viewing slavery as abhorrent, with it representing the ultimate insult to their beliefs in freedom and strength. The Aquilonians once pushed northwards, attempting to claim some of the bountiful iron in the Cimmerian borderland. During this attempt, they established a fort called Venarium. They expected the disorganized Cimmerians to be crushed easily by the might of the Aquilonian legions, but instead they were met with a force of unified Cimmerian tribes and indomitable spirit. In a single night, the Cimmerians scaled the walls of the fort and slaughtered the Aquilonian soldiers, sending the few survivors back to their empire with tales that would cement legends of Cimmerian prowess and forestall any other major Aquilonian incursions into their land. This is most of what we know for certain when it comes to the Cimmerians, at least according to Howard's own writings. There are other sources, such as the Modifius role-playing game, that give us a greater insight into their lives. I want to mention the separation here for those who might want to remain in the realm of lore created for the original Conan stories, but there's a ton of good detail in the role-playing game supplements, and in the comics, and in Conan Exiles. In the Modifius role-playing supplement, Conan the Barbarian, we get a more specific look into the daily lives of the Cimmerian people. We learn that their villages consist of a series of cabins, roundhouses, and bermed houses built around a central longhouse or similar communal structure. These central structures are the gathering place for the entire community, but act primarily as the home and court of a village chief. This chief acts with the advice of a small council of elders from the village, and the village acts as a semi-autonomous city-state within the greater influence of their clan. The only structures likely to rival a longhouse in a typical Cimmerian village would be the blacksmith and the granary. The granary is obviously necessary for the storage and preservation of what little food is farmed in the harsh climate, and the blacksmith ensures that the Cimmerian weapons, tools, and equipment are all kept in excellent shape. While their blacksmiths may not compare to the incredible talent found in the ancient kingdoms or the southern world, their tools are effective, rugged, and durable enough to withstand endured, brutal usage. Beyond the scale of the Cimmerian village, the Cimmerian culture is divided into clans, with 4 major clans, Kyanekta, Dalkai, Aryen, and Fianna, representing most of the Cimmerian people. These clans act as a form of decentralized governmental influence on smaller regions, having some sway over village chieftains through familial connection. It is notable that though there are rumors of a Cimmerian king named Kumal, it is unlikely that this king or any form of large centralized government exists within Cimeria, as the roads and infrastructures needed to support such a government are largely absent. Not to mention that the ancient clan rivalries among the Cimmerian people would likely cause infighting fierce enough to topple any attempt at kingdom building. This isn't a huge amount more detail than what we already knew, but it does give us a slightly more zoomed-in look at the daily lives of these people. The supplement also gives us a few notable places within Cimeria that give us a better look at the pervasive dark mysticism that seems to grip the region. The Cavern of Death is a cave high in the Cimmerian foothills that overlooks a rather small village. According to the legends of this village, the cave is the home of an ancient beast known as the Tyrwick, which is also the Cimmerian name for the cavern itself. The beast is said to be some horrific demon of a time long past with massive curling teeth, cloven hooves, and a horrific stench. The villagers say that the beast emerges from the cave at night to kill livestock and attack shepherds and travelers that journey too close to the mouth of the cave. The beast mutilates the bodies and leaves them for discovery the following morning. Young warriors from the region often journey to the cave to test their mettle against the beast, and thus far none have succeeded, and only a few have returned, brutally maimed from the attempt. The actual form of the beast is unknown, left up to the game master, but every returning warrior mentions burning eyes and shining tusks. In a different region of the Great Cimmerian Forest lies a clearing, with a massive ancient tree at its center. This ancient behemoth is known as the Witch Oak. Many centuries ago, the great tree was struck by lightning, and a fire began to burn within it, creating a massive hollow running up the length of its trunk. Even then, the tree was ancient, and not even the massive damage of the fire could kill it. It was not left unscathed, though, with its leaves remaining pale through summer and winter, and never taking on the colors of autumn, and never falling from the tree. Some decades ago, the lowest branches of the tree began to be decorated with metal trinkets of tin, bronze, and metals so ancient that they have been lost to time. These charms rattle against each other, even in the rare times that no wind blows through the forests of Cimeria. These charms are the work of a witch who has taken up residence in the massive tree, a practitioner of an ancient magic, skilled in the ways of nature and herbology. She is a renowned soothsayer, sought only by the bravest or most foolhardy villagers. Often she is sought to cast or lift curses, bestow blessings, or to read the future. Most often she is seen hooded and veiled, and no one can agree on what she actually looks like. Some describe her as an ancient crone, while others say she is matronly, and still others say that she is young and beautiful with a voice like fine silk. A few hapless travelers claim to have been drawn through the door of the tree, only to emerge with no memory of their experience, returning home to discover that months or even years had passed. Whether it is one witch, a coven, or a long unbroken family line living in the tree is unknown, as most who visit the witch find themselves unable to locate the tree again, some spending the rest of their lives in search of this shrouded clearing. If these legends are true, it is possible that a particularly powerful witch lives in the clearing, or perhaps a coven of witches, but it is equally possible that something far worse and much more ancient has taken up residence in the gnarled tree. It seems unlikely, however, that one would be able to escape the clearing if they were to uncover the truth. And that, my friends, is what we know about Cimeria and its people. Perhaps later we'll take a better look at Conan himself, probably the most famous of the Cimmerians, but for today that's all I have. If you enjoyed or found this video interesting, leave a like and consider subscribing for more. If you have a pop culture topic that you want me to look at, leave a comment and I'll give it a look in a future video. Thanks for stopping by my library, goodbye for now, and remember, man's only weapon is courage that flinches not from the gates of hell itself, and against such not even the legions of hell can stand.